Welcome. I'm Mary Hike, and I'm joined by Joanne Hayden from Alaska. We're members of the Western Jurisdiction Committee on Episcopacy. And we're just delighted that you could join us tonight for this orientation to the election process. I want to thank Christina Dillabo, who's our tech support for tonight. She's here. We won't see her face, but she's in the background making sure all of this works. And it's just a pleasure to have her helping us. I think you're all aware that the West is experimenting with a new form of electing bishops. Early this spring, we realized that we had a really unique opportunity, that instead of 4 weeks between annual conference and the election of bishops, we had 4 months, and that we would be welcoming 3/5 of our college new to our leadership. So in the spring of this year, the Western Jurisdiction Leadership Team and the Committee on Episcopacy, the first electeds, the Inter-Ethnic Coordinating Committee, and the college met to talk about what could we do that might move us towards a more spiritually based form of elections that was more inclusive, more transparent. It was grounded in a discernment rather than a political basis. And we wanted that those persons, not only those who were going to go on to be a bishop, but anyone involved in the process would come away stronger from it. That whether or not you choose to move on to the next level of discernment towards the episcopacy, whether or not you're elected, we really hope that this process deepens your unique call to ministry and that it strengthens you for whatever work lies ahead. We had 70 plus people who started this process. And our prayer for the outcome is not just 3 new bishops, but 70 plus leaders strengthened for leadership ministries in the West and beyond. So that's the grand experiment that you have chosen to take part in. Our goal tonight is to give you some information about the process and logistics, give you a chance to ask questions. We'll answer whatever we can. And what we can't answer tonight, we will note down and do our very best to get it to you. So tonight, across our time, we're going to center ourselves. We're going to walk through the election process. We're going to provide information on logistics about the site and registration. We're going to answer questions, and that's our night will close. It's an open meeting tonight. So across our time, we may have those with us who are discerning a call to the episcopacy, as well as those just interested in the process. And we are recording so that those who aren't able to be here tonight can get this information at a more convenient time. Or if you have friends or family members or parishioners who want to know more about this, they'll have access to this on the website as well. We're not going to do individual introductions. There are too many of us for that. But I am going to invite us to take a moment and really look at who's here. Take a moment and look at each face. And feel free to wave or to greet, right? This is what a group this is. Oh, my heart feels really full just looking at you all. Huh. Doing that work starts to bring ourselves more into the space. We invite us to go a little bit further. So circle your wrists, your fingers, maybe your ankles, and just shake it, wiggle, shake a little bit. Shake off what it took to get here tonight or what you've been about today that you need to let go of for a moment. Just shake and then let it go still until everything finds a point of stillness in you. And then let the aliveness from what you've just done be with you in the stillness. And from the place of alive stillness, let the reason why you're here and you're caring about the difference you want to make in the world and in your own life rise in you. As I notice that, my heart swells. I wonder what you notice. Notice if anything changes as you bring that to heart, whether it's a softening in your jaw or the set of your shoulders. Let that caring about what could be in this world, what you most want, what you most long for, let that be a living, alive feeling within you tonight as we move through our topics. Let it be a partner to whatever other emotions happen to be there tonight. And if your eyes are closed, just in the next breath or two, allow them to open and to come back to this gathered community while staying attached to that vibrancy inside you. We're each here because we care about making a difference. We care about how this world can be and how to be people of faith that make a difference. And we're here because we've got some questions about how this is going to work. So Joanne is going to lead us into that part and talk to us about the timetable and the process. Joanne?
Okay, thank you, Mary. All of you are aware and have completed getting your candidate profiles posted to the website. So that was the first step that kind of delineated you were through a discernment process, and at that point, you all chose to continue this process. So we thank you for all the work that you've done in doing that. Just for clarification, we did not edit anyone's submissions. So what is there is what we received. And for a few who ended up with parts that didn't quite make the deadline, we are not going to be adding additional content to what we have created on the website, but you as an individual are certainly welcome to reach out to any of the delegations or any of the people that you wish to share more information with, if indeed you have something that didn't get appropriately onto the website. So we want to make it clear that we had guidelines and we stuck with our deadlines and our guidelines, but that you still have your own individual options available to you to reach out to any of the delegates or our delegations, etc. Next, after this evening, will be something that the Committee on Episcopacy is not actually orchestrating, but the first elects within the Western jurisdiction are creating a forum for creating opportunities for all of you delegates, all of you candidates, excuse me, let me use the right word, to respond in somewhat of a forum setting, although we're doing this in a Zoom format. So it will have its limits, but the intent is to describe what you will anticipate in that setting. Each of you will be invited to one forum to participate. And our intent is to have 4 forums in total. That will cover all of the 33 of you who have indicated at this point you are a candidate. We will have one forum that will have 9 participants. The other 3 will have 8 participants. We are partnering each of the candidates in pairs, with the exception that going to have one pair of 3 instead of 2. We have set up a system where each of you as candidates will participate in that single forum with a partnered fellow candidate, and you will be in 4 different groups during your forum. The groups will be delegates, maybe those who are actual voting delegates and those who are reserves, but any of the delegation members are invited to participate in those groups. There will be a facilitator in each subgroup, and the facilitator will ask a question of either the 2 or 3 candidates in front of them in that room at that time. Each candidate will be given the same amount of time to respond to the question. So everyone will have equity in time. You'll probably take turns who goes first. But anyhow, that's how it will happen. Once the time element that allows both of you to respond to the question has passed, there may be a small portion of time left in our allotted time for this to happen without any glitches. Some may start a little late, whatever. There may be that the facilitator will allow those who are listening to submit follow-up questions or something like that. And if there's time, the facilitator may ask you as a candidate to respond in a follow-up question. That is supplementary. The real part that we're intending to record is going to be that allotted time that you each have equal time for. At the designated amount of time, which on groups of 8 participants in a forum, that would be 15-minute increments. So you're going to have 3 or 4 minutes to respond each, and then there'll be some extra time. And counting transition time, that will be the unlimited amount of time you'll have for follow-up questions. On the evening, if you happen to be in a forum that does have one grouping of 3, there's going to be a little extra unused time between the transition between the groups, so that each of those 3 candidates have the same response time. And so if you're in a group of 2, but somebody in that forum is in a group of 3, you may experience an extra minute or 2 at the end or beginning of your forum transitions. That's a chance to go get a drink of water, cup of coffee, go to the bathroom, whatever you need to do. That we just decided that was the best way to maintain the equity of response for you as candidates. You will go to 4 different groupings in a forum. So you will have 4 periods where you will be with a group and answer a question. Then you will go to another group. It'll be a different question. And each group you're in will have a different question. Our intent is to record all of these. Obviously, we can't do it all at once because we can't do 33 in one session. It's just impossible. We are on our honor system to keep quiet if we're in the first forum. We don't want to give advantage to those who are in the second, third, or fourth forum. So what is asked is going to be the same for all of you throughout the forums. Just let everyone experience it in the same time frame that you had, and keep quiet with what you know until after they're all complete, at which time we do intend then to post these to the website as well. So though we would love to have all of the delegates attend all of the forums, that's not realistic. And we recognize that. So that's why we're recording them. And then they're also available for anyone else beyond those delegates to also view the responses. Our backup tech person thinks that these can be identified on your actual candidate page. And if that works, that'll be really slick, because it'll be easier to go to an individual person and see your responses to all the questions you got. We'll hope that it works. That's the plan. Okay. After the candidate forums, then we're going to be moving into a period of time where we'll have our candidate forums all completed before the end of September. So that leaves the tail end few days of September and all of October as open, available time for you and delegations to make connections. And how that will all evolve will be up to the delegations or the caucus groups or anything else that groups choose to do. I imagine that there will be some invitations to people to maybe have a Zoom call with them and a dialogue. It may be that the reality is we can't get most likely to all 33 of you, even one-on-one. And so there may be a variety of ways that people will follow up with the individual candidates to learn more or to follow up on it, something was shared, to add clarification to what your response may have been to something or whatever.
I'm going to jump in to say, if you as a delegate want to invite a delegation to meet with you or invite people, you are totally free to do that. Just to say that the months in between now and the election really are between you and the delegations.
Thank you, Mary. That's a good point. So that gets us through October, and then it's already November and we're gathering in Salt Lake. The first thing I want to alert you to is that if you are coming as a candidate and not by virtue of also being a delegate or having another specific task by which you are present in Salt Lake City for that meeting, then all of your expenses are indeed your own personal expenses. So that means your transportation, your registration, as well as your room and board. The first thing that we will do with you as a group of candidates will actually happen on the evening prior to the start of jurisdictional meeting. So on November 1st, immediately after dinner or thereabouts, we will have a gathering for you as candidates to go over again what to expect during our time there in Salt Lake at that setting. And we'll have more specifics about locations of things and that kind of logistic stuff. Our first day of the jurisdictional meeting starts on the 2nd of November, and it will begin at 9 in the morning. So everyone needs to plan to get to Salt Lake so that you're there in time for our meeting on the 1st, ready to begin full steam on the 2nd. The 2nd will be a very full day. And so I'm going to outline kind of what we see happening sequentially, not in full detail, but just generally. Obviously, the session needs to be open formally. Rules need to be adopted and approved. We are going to have a worship service at the beginning of our meeting as well. But early on, we are going to also invite nominations from the floor because our rules allow that. So though you are in a candidate pool currently, that does not preclude someone else from yet becoming a member of this pool at that point in time. So that will be part of the opening parts of the meeting to allow nominations from the floor if there are any. The next thing is we will be creating or taking care of our qualifying ballot. Our current rules that are in place from our previous meeting indicate that a threshold of a minimum of 5 votes out of 100, which our total delegate number is, has to be obtained by someone in order to be a qualifying candidate. We have gone from our pool starting at 70 some down to 33, but we still feel we need to reduce the size a bit to make it a more effective pool for the actual election process. The current Committee on Episcopacy is going to propose within the rules for this meeting that a rule change that would identify a qualifying ballot would be based on the number of openings we are filling. If we have a single opening, we are recommending that the qualifying ballot would stop at 12, the top 12 vote getters. If we have 2 that we are filling, then we would move it up to, let's see here, 12. What did I say? The first one is 8. My apologies. Number 1 is 8. If there's one opening, we would end the qualifiers at 8 candidates. If there are 2, we would end it at 12. And if there are 3, we would end it at 16. So if this rule is approved, that means more than half of you aren't candidates after that qualifying ballot. That is not intended to threaten anyone. It's to identify a reality of a need to thin down in that qualifying process. The intent is that if there's 1 opening, every delegate would have 1 vote. If there's 2 openings, every delegate would have 2 votes. And if there's 3 openings, every delegate would have 3 votes. As long as their votes are cast for 3 different individuals, you can't vote 3 times for the same person, then that is how we will determine who or where the qualifiers will end up. The intent is to, upon completion of that ballot and tallying of the information, we would then notify the body of who those qualifiers are without any indication of the number of votes received. So it is truly just to indicate these are the candidates who, out of this process, are now qualified candidates. From that point forward, those would be the pool of candidates we would be doing the rest of the focused election activities with. Our first planned activity is to have an easy, lighthearted, get to know you event. And it's going to be more getting to know you as a person, not you as a candidate, not you as a future bishop hopeful, but something about you as an individual, a human being. And it's intended to put you at ease as well as us and have fun. The next activity that was focused on the election would relate to affording each candidate an opportunity to make a speech in front of the body. You will be responding to a question. The question will not be known now, but you will be informed before you get in front of the body to respond. So we haven't determined when that is, but we're going to give you a short amount of time to think about what you're going to say, but not tell you today that you're going to respond to X, Y, Z. And so every candidate would be afforded the same amount of time to respond to whatever the question is. The final activity that it was relating to helping us discern whom we see in this group of candidates as our higher choices, or the ones that seem to be the prime candidate from my perspective, whatever, is going to be based on creations of a situation room where you will be paired in groups of 4 to address some sort of scenario as if you were a bishop or a group of bishops. Following those activities, intermingled with a few other things in the agenda, we will ask that the delegates cast their first ballot. Our intent is to have that first ballot and the tally from it shared with the body prior to dismissing for the evening of that first day. So there's a lot to be fit into that first day. And so come ready for the ride. I do want to remind everyone that our rules do require that in order to be elected, you have to reach the percentage of 2/3 of the total votes cast. And assuming 100 people are there casting their votes, that means you need to receive 67 votes at minimum. So that adds clarification of that threshold that needs to be achieved. On the remaining days of the conference, on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th, there will be a variety of other business happening, but intermingled will be steady and consistent opportunities for voting, as well as for having either delegation time or caucus time in and around the business that is going to be happening. So we want to keep those opportunities available and used to the benefit of the group and you as candidates. But there will be the other business that we also fill in there. The final piece is that the last event of the meeting will be on the 5th. And in the afternoon, there will be a consecration service of our elected new bishops. But before we get to that, I'm going to share a little bit about the process. We are going to be electing a single bishop at a time. So we will elect one bishop, then we'll go back and cast votes until we elect a second bishop. And then if we're electing 3, we will elect the third bishop, each individually. So we won't be casting multiple, to elect multiple people at one ballot. After all of the bishops are elected, then our work really begins as the Committee on Episcopacy. We will be then retreating from the meeting for the sake of taking what we know about you as candidates, and along with those in the current college, looking at the needs of the conferences within this jurisdiction and trying to match as best we can the gifts and skills, abilities that people have with the needs of the varying settings within the jurisdiction. So that is our nighttime work, probably. Once those decisions are made, they will be shared in the meeting, and it is up to the body to approve the recommendations. At that point, we will know who is assigned to which Episcopal area. And the consecration service will then happen that afternoon with an estimated ending time of about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Another reminder, if you are serious about being bishop, remember this is early November. What comes next is Thanksgiving and Christmas. And at the first of the year, you're in a new place, ready to start a new job. It's a lot to do in a very busy part of the year. Your assignment will begin January 1st, 2023, and will run through August 31st of 2024. So it's not only immediately upon you, it's a short sprint. You've got a short amount of time for this initial appointment. There's no guarantee on any of the assignments. There are patterns that have been established in past, but that isn't required in the discipline. So it's possible that after that short amount of time, you may be actually moved to a new location. So that's a possibility. Bishop Karen, with the support of the college and the new Committee on Episcopacy, will be in charge of onboarding and helping you transition into your new role. And seriously, they really want to do that for you. But that is the overview of what to expect in what kind of time frame. And I'm going to turn it back over to Mary or to your questions.
We've got a couple of questions first, so I'll address those first before we go to logistics. It's easier to answer some of these verbally than to try to type it. We have a question about, do the bishops, the newly elected bishops, join the Episcopacy Committee? The Episcopacy Committee as a committee is made up of one layperson and one clergy from each of the conferences. So in that regard, new bishops don't join the committee that way. But the committee works with the bishops across the year to provide support, to provide accountability, much like the SPRC is. I think of the Committee on Episcopacy being analogous to an SPRC group. So you don't really join, but you work closely. Once you're elected, you do work closely with the committee. Cedric had a question about handlers. I've heard language about handlers. Can you speak to what that is and why a candidate might have a handler? In the past, a handler was someone that helped a candidate navigate through all of the different rooms that might be available for for like a candidate to visit once they were there. They would try to arrange time here and time there. And one of the things we've had in the past was working in a hotel where there was a lot of room and a lot of room for all kinds of people, in addition to the candidates and those who are there in an official capacity. So I'm going to get to your question kind of around the barn. We are not in a hotel. We are meeting in Christ Church, which, while it is the largest church in Utah, is going to be tight on space, tight on bathrooms, tight on space. We're having porta potties. I've been told they're lovely, but they will be in the parking lot because that's the kind of setting we're in. And so to make sure that everyone who needs to be in the plenary space can be in the plenary space, in that main room will be the delegates who vote, the bishops, the members of committees or groups that must be in that room, the candidates, and each candidate can select one individual to be with them in that space. Observers can be in the church, but anyone else will be in the sanctuary watching a live stream of what's going on in that plenary space. During breaks, during meals, everyone has access to everyone else. So it's open at that point. But what handlers have done in the past may be different this time just because of the space limitations. I would imagine you're going to want that support person with you to function in much of the way that has happened in the past. I've not run for bishop before. I've never been called to that. So I've only watched it from a distance. And we can find out more information about what that person can do and the way you might want to use that person. I'm not the best person to answer that question, but we'll get some information that will help you think through who to select for your support person, which takes me to registration. It's not open yet. They're hoping registration will be available by the end of this week. Hopefully Saturday or Sunday. It could be the beginning of next week. To register, you need to register both for the conference and for the hotel. If you're the member of a delegation, in addition to a candidate, or you're part of a group that they're taking care of your hotel for you, if you're not someone like that, you need to register for a hotel independently. And there will be links on the website that you register at where you can go and choose the hotel. I'm told that the furthest hotel that will be posted is about 5 miles away and takes about 12 to 15 minutes to drive. There will be parking at the church. It's limited, but there will be parking available. When you register, one of the choices when you register for the conference itself, one of the choices will be something called potential candidate. And that would be, if you're a potential candidate, the one you want to register for. Anyone else, family members, friends, people you want to have come with you, interested parties can register as well. They need to register under the term observer. Observer. You'll be getting this information in an email too. But when you've decided on who your support person is going to be, who it is you want in that room with you, you're going to email Karen Nelson, and that's a name you'll hear again. Karen is in charge of the committee of program and arrangements that works with all of these logistics. And Karen will make sure that your support person has a special name tag that will allow them to get into the plenary session. Whether or not that can be traded out, I don't know yet. But I do know that you'll have at least one person who can be with you at the time. If you're, in my head, a support person and a handler are probably the same thing, but that may not be true. Handlers, I think, are someone who's going to help you navigate. And if that's who you want to have sitting next to you in the room, that's who you would bring. it may be the person you want is more of a spiritual support person, and you're going to have someone outside that room who may be working with setting things up. We're going to get clearer as we start to build the agenda, kind of how this is going to work. So this is, again, a plane we're building as we're flying it. Tom's asking, how do spouses participate? Spouses are welcome to attend. They would register as an observer. If your spouse, partner, is not your designated support person, they would be in the sanctuary and watching through live stream. Program and Arrangements is going to try and make room. This is a very tight room. Try to make room that when a ballot is coming where it looks like someone might be elected, and sometimes this can take many, when it looks like that moment has come when someone might be elevated, they're going to work to get that family into the room. They're going to do their very best to make sure that the people who need to be there are going to be there. It's going to be challenging and it's going to be squishy, and we can figure this out. Will there be time, space for delegations to meet with candidates during the conference? Absolutely. When we're not doing business, that's what's going on. The question this time, because they've gotten to know you ahead of time, is that some of the preliminary work that generally gets done on site, that's already been done. And so this can go, the question can be a deeper level. It may be that you'll have cross-conference groupings that would want to meet with you. So it's some from each of the conferences in the West who want to talk with you about this or that. It may be because we're electing 3 and there's interest in creating a collaborative work team through this. They might invite not just one to meet with you, but several to meet with them. A lot of that is kind of evolves organically on site. We'll have some sense before we get there, and we'll have a better sense the night before. But a lot of it is, this is where we are, and this is what's needed next, and this is what we don't know. And so it really requires a spirit of flexibility and curiosity and a lot of breathing, a lot of deep breathing. We will have a couple of rooms set aside for the candidates. There'll be kind of small side-by-side Sunday school rooms. One may be staffed with someone who can be there to pray with you or just to be present with you. The second one would probably be a quieter space where you can just sit and collect yourself out of the fray of what's going on. What other questions do you have? Registration or the process? More will come, and as they do, send them. You're getting emails all the time, so any, whether that's Jan or Joanne or me, feel free to reach out. We don't always know what we know that you need to know. Bumping up Sandy's question, registration. Do we still register as potential candidates if we are a delegate as well? I get the question. Register as a delegate. Register as a delegate. Potential candidates mean we need an extra chair for them. So if you're seated with your delegation, you're good that way. What else? All right.
There was a question here from Anthony. I went back to the beginning because I haven't been able to watch it. About, I think in the forums, about getting between the groups. Is that what your question was, Anthony? Yeah, you will be informed about moving appropriately. I'm not sure exactly the logistics, but the tech people will help us there.
Generally, you'll either be whisked magically away or you'll be asked to join a specific room. Yeah. All right. Going once,
This is going to be recorded and posted to the website again as well. So yes, you can come back to this and listen to what we shared one more time if hopefully that is clearer than it may have seemed the first time hearing it. But certainly any other additional questions you have, do reach out to us, because we don't want to make it more challenging for you. Our intent is to help you along the process.
Yeah. Could you talk about the consecration service? There is a group that will work on that. It happens Saturday afternoon. It will be held in the sanctuary, which is a larger space. They say holds 300 to 350. So family would certainly be there with you if you have them present with you, friends. We may not know until Friday night who would be part of that consecration service. It could be possible we wouldn't know who's going to take part in that service until Saturday morning. Elections happen as they happen. And I don't know much else about the service at that point. Is there a specific question, Elizabeth, you have about that?
I guess we should all bring our robes just in case.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yes. And if not, I bet we can find one. Okay. You won't need to bring a stole. Episcopal stoles are provided. So that's there. Pack a stole, not a stole. Pack a robe. Pack a robe. Anything else? Okay. All right. So we're going to close tonight with a paraphrase of Psalm 20. This is from Nan Merrill's Psalms for Praying. And it is a psalm, but it's a blessing as well. May the one who created you in wholeness meet your needs when you call. May the name of love be your protection and rise up in your heart as a tower of strength. May all you have given in gratitude and all you have given with open hands be returned to you 100-fold. May your heart's desires and all your plans be fulfilled in due season. Let us shout for joy as love triumphs over fear. Let our thankful hearts sing in loud acclamation to the beloved who answers heartfelt prayer. And oh, beloved, you who have created us, hear our call. Make your home in our hearts. Amen. Thank you all for your willingness to step forward in this way, for the courage that takes. May this be a journey of joy for you and growth.